And Rob Gronkowski says he has been cleared. He's cleared the concussion protocol. He will play Sunday, Super Bowl 52. This came exactly 11 days after he suffered a concussion in the AFC Championship game when he was hit by Jags safety Barry Church late in the second quarter. He was able to practice fully yesterday for the first time since the injury. So now we know Gronk will play on Sunday. Welcome inside here. Fortunately, it's inside because it's not even 0 degrees Fahrenheit outside.
Right.
Super Bowl champion, 9-time Pro Bowler Charles Woodson. Good to see you here. I'm Sage Steele. Charles, okay, Gronk will play. As if we ever doubted it.
No, we knew that was going to happen.
He kind of smiled. He's like, I knew I was going to play the whole time. So that's great for the Patriots, bad for the Eagles defense, of course. There are so many other weapons, though, including somebody that maybe gets overlooked. Brandon Cooks, in his first year with the Patriots, he has done a lot numbers-wise, but nobody talks about him.
Right. It's funny because the New England Patriots have so many weapons. You know, you spend so much time worried about Gronkowski. Then you got Deion Lewis coming out of the backfield. Then they may have Burkhead. You got Amendola, who works the middle of the field. And then all of a sudden, here comes Brandon Cooks. You know, he's the deep threat. He's the guy that can stretch that defense, down the field, down the sideline, down the middle of cover 2 or whatever it may be. But I think the key for the defense on Brandon Cooks is to be physical with him at the line. He's not particularly well at getting off the press. But then, they just throw in little plays, little wrinkles that get him the ball at the line of scrimmage, allow him to make plays down the field and use his speed. And the Patriots, they just have so many weapons. And then you got a guy who they make a trade for. He comes from New Orleans, and he just gives you explosion, down the field. So the New England Patriots can beat you in so many different ways. And then you add a guy like Brandon Cooks. Like, wow, it's not even fair.
It's not even fair. And by the way, from Drew Brees to Tom Brady, that's not fair.
Yeah,
for a lot of guys as well.
He's one lucky guy, right?
He certainly is. Keep that going. How would you defend him on Sunday?
Well, I think the key is to get him at the line of scrimmage. Like I said, he doesn't do well working against the press. So get your hands on him at the line of scrimmage. Don't allow him to have free access down the field. If you can do that, you'll have success.
65 catches, 1,082 yards, and 7 touchdowns for Brandon Cooks in his first season in New England. By the way, that's the best season Brady has had with a first-year receiver since Randy Moss came to town in 2007. So
wow, he's in good company.
Pretty. That luck, not a bad thing. Thank you very much, Charles Woodson. We'll see you all weekend long as we get set for the big game. Let's switch to the other side of the ball, specifically the defense for the New England Patriots. For more on that, let's say hello now to our Josina Anderson joining us live from, I believe that's the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota. Hello, Josina.
Hey, Sage. Yeah, just a couple of roller coaster rides going on behind me. Don't worry about that, girl. Anyways, let's talk about this Patriots defense. How bad were they early in the season? They were the only unit to allow a quarterback to throw for 300 yards in 6 straight games at any point in the season. And despite injuries to Dante Hightower, who missed early games with a knee injury, and new cornerback Stephon Gilmore having some miscues and miscommunication and getting criticized for that in the secondary, Patriots linebacker Kyle Van Noy told me that he feels like the tide really turned for this defense in Week 7 when they faced Matt Ryan in the best third down offense and only kept them to a 22% conversion rate and no first downs in that situation. So despite losing Dante Hightower, releasing Cassius Smart, and replacing him with Eric Lee, they found a way to get this unit to pull together ahead for Super Bowl Sunday.
It just takes time. It's a long season, and you're going to be rusty, going into the first couple of games, but it's not really an excuse, but we just kept our head down, man, and just kept going. People were talking about us, but, we don't really care about any of that stuff, but, we just created a brotherhood and, took responsibility for everything and kind of just went from there.
To me, the best part is none of us really have egos. When we all get out there together, we're moving around. We're not really going by position. We're just going by spots, and we're trying to put each person in the best spot. So credit really goes to each guy learning the different roles and being able to do everything on the field. And I think because of that, Matty P puts trust in us to get it aligned right.
Well, one thing of note for this Patriots defense, they really have a tall task trying to get pressure on Nick Foles. The Eagles' offensive line was protecting him so well that they only allowed 2 sacks in the last 2 games on 65 dropbacks, and none of that happened on first and second down, so they were able to move the chain. So the actual best approach for this Patriots defense is to abstain from the blitz because they have the 3rd best sack rate on a standard rush, and they have the fifth worst rate when they are blitzing. So that is one approach that they may use Super Bowl Sunday. Sage, back to you.
Awesome, Josina, thank you. And by the way, another fascinating stat, New England has they've gone 4 straight games now without a single takeaway, including the playoffs. That's a franchise record. And by the way, no takeaways, they still won their last 4 games. Amazing. Coming up, officiating has been a hot topic, especially since the AFC Championship game. Sunday's crew has been announced. We'll discuss who it is and how it could affect Super Bowl 52.
Let's get to women's hoops. Number 1, UConn at number 7, South Carolina. The showdown turned into a romp, but at least the Huskies had fun. Gino Auriemma, Philly guy, Eagles fan. Kia Nurse on board as well.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown. 1, 2, 3.
Katie Lou Samuelson, obviously a Patriots fan, so we're going to do this like an NFL highlight. Kia Nurse, her uncle is Donovan McNabb. She gets off to the early lead. Yes, you can hear Boomer, Chris Bourbon chiming in. Nurse up 6-2 on Samuelson, who answers back with a 3. It's 6-5. Second quarter we go. These two Huskies going back and forth. Samuelson, the Hail Mary. Lays it in, up 11-8 on Nurse. So UConn crushed South Carolina, by the way, which is why we're funning like this. Samuelson gets another. Nurse comes back with a 3, cuts it to 13-11. The in-game competition between the Huskies continues. Nurse in transition. And then later on, Samuelson throws the pick 6 to Nurse, who takes the 21-20 lead. Nurse outscores Samuelson 23-20 on the night. UConn outscores South Carolina by 25. Carrie, your turn.
I hope I have sound effects. Villanova, number 1, Villanova, hosting Creighton. Let's take a look, folks. They're going to exploit the zone transition. Right? We want to let you guys know that because we're going to show you that here in this highlight. First half, Nova up 6 points. Now, if you're paying attention, Nova swings it around the zone. Colin Gillespie, he finds Spellman for 3. But guess what? How did he get that 3? Listen to the coach. He's mad.
Right now, down here, our zone is too quiet. There is no communication of who's bumping who. We're just making assumptions.
Who's bumping who? Let's see how the Blue Jays adjusted on defense. Gillespie drives, kicks it, finds Mikal Bridges. Wide open 3, pretty. Creighton's zone clearly not working. They switched man. Nova up 40-32. Jalen Brunson knocks it down. Nova still winning. Way too nice. Going to the second, folks. Nova leading 56-43 on the inbound. Bridges runs off the double screen. Again, another 3. Villanova ties a school record with 19 3-pointers, and clearly they win. Let me explain a little more for you. Villanova might have gotten the win last night, but this might not be good news for the Wildcats. Okay, so this is weird. Only twice since 2000 has the number 1 team in the AP poll on Groundhog Day won the national title that season. That's today, so we're concerned. Florida in 2007 and Kentucky in 2012. What does it all mean? You know, bad news for Nova is the question. We'll figure it out. College hoops tomorrow on ESPN, starting at 6:15. Trae Young, you've heard of him, leading Oklahoma against Texas and their freshman star, Mo Bamba. Then at 8:15 Eastern, 5th-ranked Michigan State taking on Indiana. Both games are on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app.
The third and final sentencing hearing for Larry Nassar on sexual abuse charges going on this week in Charlotte, Michigan courtroom. We've seen countless victims and their families stand up and express their sadness, their frustration, but most of all, their anger. This morning, that rage spilled over when Randall Margraves, the father of 3 daughters who were abused by Nassar, stood up to confront the disgraced former doctor.
I would ask you to, as part of this sentencing, to grant me 5 minutes in a locked room with this demon.
Would
you do that?
That is not how
yes or no?
No, sir, I can't.
Would you give me 1 minute?
You know that I can't do that. That's not how our legal system works.
Give me 1 minute with that.
That incident came after Randall Margraves had listened to two of his daughters address Nasser about his abuse of them. Later, Margraves, in handcuffs, faced the judge, who told him, "There's no way this court is going to issue any type of punishment. My heart goes out to you and your family." Margraves then apologized, saying he was not trying to upstage his daughters.
The Eagles defense already has enough to worry about facing Tom Brady on Sunday. Coming up, while preparing for the Super Bowl, officials, guys, we're talking about the refs, has become more a part of the plan for Philly. We'll explain.